All right, it is time for Tech Tuesday. A new app is giving people who love the water the ability to message while underwater. Plus, one of the pioneers behind wearable health trackers is coming back in a big way. Greg Nibbler, our tech expert, is live with those headlines and more. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, some kind of interesting things happening. So fitness trackers, like the original fitness tracker that I think everybody really got into it with, is now back with FitBits, announcing 3 new products, some updates to some lines that they already had. And it's an interesting point for them to come back because of the fact that a lot of other manufacturers have kind of caught up with where they were originally with the Apple Watch, with Galaxy Watch, Garmin. So what is Fitbit doing that is different is what a lot of people are wanting to know to kind of stand out again. And a big part of it is the fact that they are now owned by Google. So Google is really infusing themselves into this a little bit and saying that this is how they can stand out some. So you'll have Google Wallet Pay will be part of your new Fitbit. And on top of that, they'll also incorporate in Google Maps so that say you want to jog to this coffee shop that you go to, but you want to do 5 miles before you get there. Well, you type that in and then Google Maps will pair with your earbuds and give you turn-by-turn directions to get you that distance and end you up right where you want to go. So it's kind of an interesting little feature to add in there just to incorporate that part of it. They also have some really good battery life that's being in there, some new ways you can take it off and clip it if you want to do that and not wear it as a watch. So a lot that's happening there. The prices start out $99 for the basic one, which is not too bad in the range of things, all the way up to $230 or $300. So it depends on if you really want to stick in this Fitbit realm. But if you do, it's still pretty good stuff out there, but we'll see how they do compared to how many people have maybe already switched over to that Apple Watch or Garmin or all those other ones.
Yeah, that's interesting. The Google Maps thing, that is cool. That
That's
would be
cool.
nice to have in some of my fitness stuff. But yeah, I know I did the Apple Watch thing because I'm like, why would I do the fitness tracker if I can do the fitness tracker and the watch and all these other deals all in
Yep.
one. Another thing I like about the Apple Watch is it's water resistant and you can wear it into the water if you're swimming for a workout. But speaking of some water devices, Aqua is a new underwater messaging app for Android. So how does this work?
Yeah, so this is coming from University of Washington. It's actually a study that they're doing in one of their groups there. They wanted to tackle the issue of underwater messaging because there's more and more people, they're diving or being underwater. We have waterproof phones or cases. So it's actually something that people do. But the issue is that standard messaging doesn't work because radio waves aren't going to travel through the water. So they tackled it from the issue of sound waves, which is really how a lot of creatures communicate underwater. So animals do this. So they want to figure out how we can do that with our phones. So they developed this app and it actually works with standard phones to where it will send out a little bit of a sound and it captures it on the other phone, say wherever you are, and up to 100 meters, they said. And so it's communicating that way. So you'll send out this little bit of a sound wave and it'll interpret that as a text. Some of it can be like standard messages that divers would use, whatever those are. I'm going up or down, or there's a shark behind you or whatever it is that divers say to each other. But it's still kind of cool seeing it. And they're saying it's not just for a novelty purpose, for amateur divers, but looking at commercial diving or rescue or even say underwater construction. There's a whole world that could happen with it. So it's a cool use case. They've got it out there now for it's open source. So if you want to download and mess around with it, it's not a standard app quite yet, but that's where they're going. But it's called Aqua app, but you have to download the actual pieces and put it together. But it's going to be out there for lots of people to use. So I'd expect this thing to really be picked up by a lot of people. It's kind of cool to see what else your phone can do,
Yeah, that is kind of cool. And I didn't know that you couldn't message. It makes sense. You can't send messages underwater like that. So
I didn't know that either.
Interesting. That's pretty neat. Okay, it wouldn't be a Tech Tuesday if we didn't talk about some robots doing stuff. We've got a new robot on the scene. What's this one doing?
Yeah, this is called a mica, and it's from a company called Engineered Arts. And they showed it a little bit earlier this year, but really they're focusing on how realistic this robot's facial expressions can be. And so this is a mica the robot with one of the people from Engineered Arts. And what they're doing is this robot is completely mimicking all of his facial expressions, like down to even a smirk, down to every little eye roll or eye movement. And just the fact that that is a robot that's doing that. Now, granted, it's not doing it on its own. It's completely mimicking it through this app that they have. But still, it is so realistic looking. And I have to say, this is probably of all the weird robot videos that I bring up, this one is the most realistic and human-like. It reminds me of I, Robot, that Will Smith movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of uncanny where they're going with it. And it shows what a precipice we're on, for all these new robotics. You've got Tesla that's going to have one soon, but I mean, it's not really sci-fi anymore. Like, this stuff's happening, but just seeing how realistic it is it's cool and unnerving at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I'm watching that video thinking, oh my gosh, that's like, it's kind of creepy how
Right?
lifelike that face is. Wow. Okay, we're a few years away from a robot taking my job. That's that's what
all
I
of
see
us,
when I
yeah.
look at that. Oh wow. All right, Greg, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week for another round of tech news.
That's great.
And of course, if you want to stay up to date on all things tech, all the crazy robots all week long, you can follow Greg on Twitter. He is @Greg Nibbler. Kelly.